Namaste students. Today we are going to study about vaccination and immunization. Vaccination and immunization. So what is vaccination and what is immunization? So when we are introducing any pathogen, maybe in the inactive form or killed antigen or antigenic component of the pathogen into the body, that preparation is called vaccine, and the introduction of such vaccine is called vaccination. What is following vaccination is called immunization. What happens after vaccination in the body is called immunization. How it is introduced into the body? So vaccine is a preparation which has such dead pathogen or inactive pathogen or attenuated pathogen, and it is introduced into the body in the form of vaccine. So, we will see here it is based on the principle, the principle of immunization and vaccination is based on the property of immune system, and that property is called memory. And our immune system maintains immunological memory. Based on that, vaccination and immunization will be done. So, here it is the memory which is important in vaccination and immunization procedure. And in vaccination, what is given? Vaccination, it is a preparation of antigenic proteins of pathogens or inactivated or weakened pathogen, that is called vaccine, which are introduced into the host body, that is into our body or host body. So, it can be dead pathogen or the pathogen which is made inactive or attenuated pathogen, or maybe only the surface antigens or purified antigens. Nowadays distinct antigens are used for the same. So, it is introduced into the body so that there will be immune response in the body is natural. It is inducing immune response in the body, and that is how it is provided. So, here what happens is antibodies. Here the antibodies are produced. Antibodies produced against these antigens, whichever antigens are introduced, antibodies are produced, and these antibodies neutralize the agents of pathogen, that is neutralize the pathogenic agents during their actual infection. So, it is anticipating any infection, vaccine is given, and vaccine is having the pathogen only, maybe partly inactivated or maybe dead pathogen, and whenever there is natural infection later on, actual infection takes place later on, body keeps memory of the pathogen, so that antibodies will be produced in large amount, in mass amount it will be produced, and it will actually destroy the actual pathogen during its subsequent entry into our body. So, the antibodies produced against these antigens neutralize the agents during actual infection. And here you can find the vaccines also generate memory B and T cells. B lymphocyte as well as T lymphocyte, memory cells will be there, memory B lymphocyte and memory T lymphocytes, and memory will be kept, and this memory of the pathogen will be kept, and which will recognize the pathogen in subsequent infection. So, wherever it is introduced. So, recognition will be very fast or very quickly on subsequent exposure. So, there will be massive production of antibodies against the pathogen, So, because there is memory, production will be at a faster rate, so that the pathogen can be destroyed easily without any problem. Okay, then if it is an immunization program, then if a person is infected with any deadly microbe, see, antibody production takes time. During vaccination, it will take time, minimum time is required to produce the antibody in our body. And by that time, if it is a dangerous condition or pathogen, the person may die. In order to avoid that, ready-made antibodies are given to that person, So, that is what you call it as immunization, that is passive immunization. Here, if a person is infected with deadly microbes to which quick immune response is needed. At that moment only it is needed, but it will take time for the production of antibodies definitely. It is required as in the case of tetanus. In tetanus, immediate response or the antibodies are required to fight against the tetanus pathogen. So, directly preformed antibodies are introduced into the body. So, here directly inject the preformed antibodies already made and kept, such antibody injection will be given. So, what injection is given is antibody injections will be given. And at the same time for snake bite, so duration will be within 72 hours it should be given, or 48 hours it should be given. If that condition is there, definitely that person should be given with the preformed, already formed and kept, such antibody injection should be given. So, here snake bite also one such condition where immediate action to be taken, need not wait for the antibody to be produced in the body, because snake venom is a protein which is venom, and that is produced when it reaches the body, it will take time to produce the antibody. By that time the person may not be there at all. So, in order to avoid that, preformed antibodies to be given to that person, and this type of immunization is called passive immunization. This type of immunization is called passive immunization. So, at that moment if the antibody injection is not given, antibody injection ಕೊಡದಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಸತ್ತು ಹೋಗಬಹುದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ready-made antibody injections are given to that person, and that too specifically whether the toxic or toxin or venom is hemotoxic or neurotoxic, ಯಾವ ತರದ ಹಾವು ಕಡಿದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು accordingly they will give the antibody injection. So, that is how passive immunization will be done. And the recombinant DNA technology that has made it much easier now because of that. So, here recombinant DNA technology has allowed the production of antigenic polypeptide, and that is in large number it can be produced, that is in the bacteria or yeast production can be done. So, that in greater quantity vaccines are available in greater quantity. And similarly hepatitis B vaccine is prepared from yeast. Hepatitis B vaccine for hepatitis, there is a deadly disease hepatitis B vaccine. It is produced from yeast. Hepatitis B vaccine is produced from yeast. Now, we will move on to the next topic, allergy. What is allergy? Whenever you go to any place, suppose you feel some sort of breathing problem or sneezing or running nose or watery eyes, if you move away from that region, such symptoms may vanish, disappear. That means your body is sensitive to certain substances present in the environment, and we call it as allergy. So, what is allergy exactly? An exaggerated immune response of the body towards certain pathogens or antigens present in the environment, towards certain pathogens or antigens or substances present in the environment or surrounding. This is called allergy. It is actually an exaggerated response of our immune system towards any pathogen or one particular substance present in the environment. So, body is a hypersensitive or oversensitive body, they show some symptoms. And the substances which cause such allergic reaction are known as allergens. Substances to which such allergic responses are shown are known as allergens. These are called allergens. These are called allergens. And which are these allergens? The common allergens are dust mites, pollen and animal dander. These are the common allergens. Apart from this, our body may be allergic to variety of substances, maybe the proteins of soybean, wheat, or whichever it is, or some of the vegetables, some of the fruits, or some of the grains we may be allergic. So it varies, but these are the common allergens. Dust mites in the dust. So we say dust allergy, it is mainly because of the dust mite. And pollen grains, especially the grass members, graminae members during their blooming season, and they produce large number of pollen grains, and we inhale that. So hypersensitive bodies react to that, So pollen grains are one of the allergens, important allergens. Then apart from that, animal dander andre nayi, bekkidu athava any other animals hairs of dogs or cats. Pet animal, any pet animal, the pets, the hair, it is known as animal dander. So many of us have the habit of handling these pets, and without washing the hand we may take the food, and sometimes we may be allergic to that. We may not know whenever we come across with such type of animal dander. And these are commonly seen allergens. So what symptoms will be there in allergic response, allergic reactions? Symptoms: there will be sneezing, sometimes cough also. Then apart from that, running nose, watery eyes, and tightness in the chest or breathing problem. These are the common symptoms of allergy. What exactly happens in the body during allergic response? Certain cells in our body called mast cells. Actually, mast cells are almost similar to basophils. Yeah, this is almost similar to basophils. These mast cells secrete certain chemicals. Because of that, such allergic symptoms are seen in the body. And what do they secrete? Mast cells secrete histamine, serotonin and heparin. Histamine, serotonin and heparin are secreted by mast cells. Mast cells are almost similar to basophils, this type of WBC only. These are found in the tissue, mast cells are found in the tissue. They secrete histamine, serotonin and heparin. Among this, histamine is vasodilator, which dilates the blood vessel, whereas serotonin is a vasoconstrictor, which constricts the blood vessel, whereas heparin is anticoagulant pigment present in our blood. that prevents intravenous coagulation or clotting of blood, heparin. And histamine, serotonin and heparin, these are secreted by mast cells during serotonin and histamine secreted during allergic response. How to overcome the problem of allergy? Very important thing is that just avoid the source of allergen. Move away from, and body should not be exposed to the allergen. Then only such symptoms may occur. So, if you avoid the source of that allergen, then that is easier. But how to find out which is responsible for that allergic reaction? Which allergen is responsible for that? We may not know many a time. For that purpose, and certain types of allergens in a very low dose injections it will be introduced into the body of the host, whether they show any allergic symptom. So, smaller doses, very minute doses it will be given to the body, so that if body reacts to that particular allergen, then it is allergies mainly because of that they can find out. That's how it will be. So, allergic symptom only, if the allergen or smaller dosage is given, if they show response, positive response towards that, so they are allergic to that substance. And so allergens, dust mites are there, animal danders are there, any other proteins are there or anything whichever they are allergic. So, we may not know. Sometimes the fungal spores also. So, when they produce spores, that time also that we may inhale along with our oxygen, we may inhale that, and at that time allergic symptoms will be caused. We may not know the source of allergy. Only during rainy season particular fungus it produces spores, and during that time we may get the allergy. So, we may not know. So, for that purpose it should be a smaller dose, it should be introduced into the body, so that if there is allergic response it can be detected. How it can be treated? Treatment of allergy can be done by using antihistamine drugs. Antihistamine drugs, then adrenaline, then other than that steroid drugs will be given, which will reduce the effect of allergy, Drugs to be used here: treatment of allergy can be done using antihistamine drugs, then adrenaline preparation and steroids. So, these drugs can be used to reduce the allergic response. Steroids, adrenaline or antihistamine drugs can be used. And nowadays the allergic condition is more in children, mainly because in their early period of life they are provided with protected environment. When too much protection is given, body is not exposed to any sort of pathogen. Because of that, immunity reduces. When the body is exposed to pathogen, natural immunity or the natural type of immunity, active immunity develops in the body, because body is exposed to very small dose of a pathogen, and that pathogen actually induces the production of antibody in that child. If early lifetime, in the early period of their life, if much protection is given, so their immunity reduces. That is the main reason behind this allergic responses. Another topic is autoimmunity. This is about allergy. And one more thing here, the type of antibody produced during allergic response is immunoglobulin E. The type of antibody produced is IgE during allergic response in our body. IgE, immunoglobulin E, is produced during allergic response in the body. Okay. Now, we will study about autoimmunity. What is it? Autoimmunity. What is autoimmunity? In higher vertebrates or higher organisms, when you say memory based immune response exists, and this is mainly because of B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Is mainly because of T lymphocyte and B lymphocytes. There are B and T memory cells. There are B and T memory cells, and here the identification is done based on self and non-self. Actually, the T lymphocytes and specifically speaking it is T helper cells, helper T cells or T helper cells. They have the ability to identify or distinguish self from non-self. They are able to identify self from non-self. Self andre ನಮ್ಮ ಶರೀರದ್ದು, non-self andre foreign, ಹೊರಗಿನಿಂದ ಬಂದದ್ದು. So here self and non-self differentiation has to be done. Actually speaking, T helper cells, they can identify the self. Whichever is not identified as self are non-self and foreign substances. So such substances will be attacked or tackled by our immune system. That's how it works. That is, in higher vertebrates is very specific type of reaction. So here self can be identified from non-self, where T lymphocytes, especially the T helper cells, they actually move in the bloodstream or they circulate twice in a day, and they detect any sort of infection in the body. That is their main function. It is a commander of cell mediated immunity, that is T helper cells, and these cells detect self from non-self. In the sense that our cells, no, for example, our cells, they have a marker. For example, this is a marker on our cell. We have a marker, our cells, they have a marker like this, whereas foreign cells, the marker will be different. They have a different marker. There the marker is different. So what they identify is, they identify only this. This is self. If this pattern or design is not there on the surface, that is foreign or outside substance or pathogen. This is non-self. This is non-self. So they have the ability to differentiate or distinguish self from non-self. That is how they work, these helper cells. And in our body, sometimes due to certain genetic problem or maybe due to unknown reasons, our immune system attacks our own body cells, and it may damage the body, resulting in autoimmune disease. So immunity is there, or immune responses towards our own cells, so it is autoimmune. So it causes autoimmunity disease due to certain genetic or unknown reasons. Immune cells may attack our body cells, leading to the damage of our body. This disease is called autoimmune disease. It is called autoimmune disease. So, our own immune system attacks our own body cells. So, body cells or tissues will be damaged, and such a condition is called autoimmune disease. And it may be due to some genetic reason, hereditary reasons may be there, or it may be due to unknown reasons. Reasons unknown anta helidre idiopathic anta heltare. So, reasons unknown. It can be due to unknown reason or idiopathic. Idiopathic andre reasons gottirudilla exactly. Then it is called idiopathic. Okay. Due to unknown reasons or maybe due to hereditary or genetic reasons, our immune system attacks or immune cells attack our own body cells. So, body cells will be destroyed definitely, and that type of disease is called autoimmune disease. An example for autoimmune disease, example is rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is example for autoimmune disease. ಸಂಧಿವಾತ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ರುಮಟಾಯ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ಥರೈಟಿಸ್ ಗಂಟೆಲ್ಲ ನೋವು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಈಚ್ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲಮೇಷನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್, ಪೇನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ that is hereditary. So, it is rheumatoid arthritis. It is a sort of autoimmune disease. It is very, very painful it is. And another disease you can know, that is glomerulonephritis. Glomerulonephritis is also a type of autoimmune disease. It is a bacterial infection also. Glomerulonephritis, that is related to kidney. Glomeruli of nephron, that will be affected in that. So, here rheumatoid arthritis is an example for autoimmune disease. So, here our own cells, immune cells, they attack our own body cells and damage the body cells, and such a disease is called autoimmune disease. Okay, we will see the different locations in our body, that is the immune system, where and all it is located in the body. We will have a look at the same. Immune system in the body. Immune system in the body, we will have a look. In our body, immune system consists of, it comprises lymphoid organs, lymphoid tissue, lymphatic tissue, lymphoid organs, lymphoid tissue, cells of the lymphoid system, and soluble substances in the lymph, that is antibodies. Antibodies, these are the part of lymphoid system in our immune system in the body. We will see in the lymphoid system there are primary lymphoid organs, primary lymphoid organs. And which are these primary lymphoid organs? Primary lymphoid organs are bone marrow and thymus. These are primary lymphoid organs, bone marrow and thymus. These are primary lymphoid organs. Here in the bone marrow, production of blood cells takes place. Production of blood cells takes place in bone marrow. And even the lymphocytes, the immune cells also, lymphocytes are produced in the bone marrow. And what is the fate of these lymphocytes? Lymphocytes, once it is produced in the bone marrow, they may undergo maturation in the bone marrow itself, or they migrate to other region like thymus, and maturation takes place in the thymus gland. Depending on that, two types of lymphocytes are there. So, one type where it is produced in the bone marrow, production and maturation in the bone marrow, production and maturation in bone marrow. The type of lymphocyte is called B lymphocyte. B lymphocyte. Production and maturation in bone marrow, it is called B lymphocyte. Then there are cells where the cells are produced in the bone marrow and maturation takes place in the thymus. Bone marrow, it is produced, but maturation in the thymus. Maturation in the thymus gland. Maturation in the thymus gland. So, bone marrow production of lymphocyte, then cells undergo maturation or they become immunocompetent. Once they become mature, they are able to do the work, but till that time they won't be able to do the work. They migrate and they become mature or immunocompetent enough to fight against the pathogen, that is in the thymus gland, maturation, and such lymphocytes are called T lymphocytes. Such lymphocytes are called T lymphocytes. So, here B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, production, that is in the bone marrow, maturation in the bone marrow and thymus. So, these are the primary lymphoid organs. Bone marrow and thymus are the primary lymphoid organs. We will see which are the secondary lymphoid organs. Secondary lymphoid organs are spleen, lymph nodes, Peyer's patches of small intestine, appendix and tonsils. They act as the secondary lymphoid organs. And here immune cells. Which are the immune cells here? Immune cells are lymphocytes. They interact with the antigens in secondary lymphoid tissue. Secondary lymphoid tissue, they interact with the antigen. The lymphocytes and antigen interaction will be there in the secondary lymphoid tissue like spleen region or maybe in the lymph node region, and Peyer's patches, these are the lymph patches found in the small intestine, then appendix of the large intestine, then the tonsils, all these are lymphoid tissue, secondary lymphoid organs where there is interaction between lymphocyte and antigen takes place. Then if you take the spleen, it is a secondary lymphoid organ and it is a reservoir of RBC2, RBC andre red blood cells or erythrocytes or erythrocytes. Here bone marrow and thymus provide microenvironment for the lymphocytes to proliferate to form effector cells, to form the effector cells. And lymph nodes are there. Apart from that, lymph nodes are the region where you can find microbes will be identified or detected by lymphocytes. So, microbes will be detected by lymphocytes, that is in the lymph nodes, lymphatic node or lymph nodes region, then they react. Here this is about the immune system in the body, and apart from that there is a system called MALT. MALT is nothing but MALT. There is a lymphoid tissue in the epithelial lining. This is a lymphoid tissue. In the epithelium of all the tracts like digestive tract, respiratory tract, and urogenital tract. And this system is called MALT. What is MALT? MALT is nothing but epithelial lining has mucosa coating or mucosa lining, it is known as. So, here it is called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. It is called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue or MALT. MALT, mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. Okay. So, that is about the immune system in the body. The bone marrow and thymus are the primary lymphoid organs, and secondary lymphoid organs are spleen, lymph nodes are there, and apart from that Peyer's patches in the small intestine, then tonsils are there, then appendix. These are the secondary lymphoid organs. And third type is lymphatic tissue, and lymphatic tissue is present in such regions like epithelium of all the tracts like respiratory tract, digestive tract or urogenital tract. And such a tissue is called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. Okay. That is about immunity topic.